Well, welcome my good friend, Holly Joyce Murray. Yay!
Hey, how are you,
How are
ladies?
you doing?
I'm doing great.
So the last time we were talking, I made a statement, not the last time we were talking, last time we recorded, I made a statement that life is just hard and you kind of graduate or change from one kind of hard to a next level of hard. And that hard doesn't necessarily go away. It just changes where it's at in your life and what it looks like. And you've really got to build some life muscles to carry the hard things of life. And I'm just going to tell you, we all anteed up and leveled up after I made that statement because life went next level hard in several areas of my life. And I was like, maybe I just shouldn't talk about this.
Same for me. I was really thinking, like, why did we decide on doing things about hard? Because now I'm having to walk through everything in every area.
Okay, not everything. Don't say that because I'm sure there's areas.
Right.
So have you found that hard changed for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So did good though. So did beautiful and joyful. Like everything changed, and how could it not? They say when a child is born, a mother is born, and I think that's really, really true. So, but not just from the practical sense of gaining a noun or a pronoun or an adjective or whatever. You know, I'm 10 months old being a mom, just like, I mean, I guess if you count my pregnancy, a little older than that, but my son's 10 months old now. And every day is a learning curve, and every day is an unlearning curve. I love what you said about the hard thing, because lately I've been hearing a lot about choosing your hard, because hard's going to be there and you get to choose what your hard's going to be. So for example, for me as a person who is in business for herself, I can either, like, for example, women, we struggle a lot with selling or with sharing our product or sharing our service or feeling like a fraud, like an imposter. So I can choose to sit back and not share and keep quiet and not see my business grow and not help the people that I'm designed to serve and designed to help. Or I can share, which is going to be potentially uncomfortable. I may receive some no's, which if I'm not careful, I could internalize and personalize when really it's not a no, it's just a not right now, or that doesn't apply to me or whatever. Or there's the heart of when my son comes to me and asks me for something, or there's an experience I want to give him. I'm not able to do that because I'm not profiting in my business. So I think there's a lot of things in life that you can choose your heart on. The things that you can't choose your heart on, that come at you like a freight train, that take the wind out of your sails, that bring you to your knees, there still comes a point where you get to choose if you're going to live in misery or if you're going to live in mastery. And let me explain that.
Say that again.
Living in misery is, I want you to commiserate with my pain. I want you to come and I want you to just to sit in it and sulk in it with me, and let's just feel yucky together. And hey, guess what? We need to all have permission to do that to a certain extent, and you get to decide the timeline on that. And it may not be just a one and done timeline. Like if it's a small hurt, a small pain, then sure, you may say like, okay, today I'm taking 30 minutes, I'm getting it all out. I'm crying, I'm cussing, I'm fussing, I'm doing whatever I need to do, and then I'm moving on. If it's a big hurt, then honestly, like you may face that hurt every single day for months, if not years. Yeah. And I don't say that to be a negative Nancy, I just say that to be honest with you, because if you've ever had a loved one die, if you've ever had a tragedy strike, if you've had anything like that, then you know that it's not something that's one and done and it's over with. And you do need people to come in and process your pain with you and like sit with you and honestly like be quiet, kind of like what Job's friends in the Bible didn't do well. Like just come and sit and be quiet for a second. Like you may not have anything of value to say, and that's okay. Just saying I love you and I'm here for you. The other thing is you've got to, at some point, I mean, you don't have to. There's plenty of people that don't. They live as a victim their whole lives. and it's hard to be around them if we're being really transparent here. But you can transition into mastery. And what is mastery? Mastery is, let me be your guide along the pathway. When you're ready to move forward, guess what? Maybe I'm a couple of steps ahead of you, and I can tell you some of the things that help me. This is not advice giving. This is not like, ship up or shape out, or wait, shape up or ship out, or whatever. It's more about, everybody needs mentors. Everybody needs people that have gone like a couple steps ahead. And let me hear your experience so that I can distill from that what applies to me, and whatever doesn't apply to me, I can just leave it, and honor it as your experience. What do you guys think? Has that been true in your life, whether it was like something small or something big? Have you seen yourself be able to transition into mastery at all?
Yeah, I think so. And I think one of the important things to state in that is, you helped me walk through one of the harder parts of my life that I didn't even realize what it was. And so if you're talking about a mentor or someone that's been ahead and done some things ahead of you, they don't necessarily have to be older than you. We all experience life differently. And I'm about a year or two older than you are, Holly, but
I think a little more.
Shush. But, whenever I was handling the caregiving of my mother, and I was really struggling emotionally every time I would go to see her, or every time I would be in the same room with her. And I found myself actually being angry and just pissy, if you want to know the truth. And I could not figure out why. Holly was the one that said, it sounds to me like you're grieving. And I had never experienced grief. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know how to navigate it. I didn't know what it looked like. Yet she had. And so she sat down and had some very open and honest conversations with me about grief, what it looked like, why it was important, because I didn't understand it because my mother was still alive, but why it was important that I allowed that grief to show up and give it space to heal. Because the one thing she told me is, you're holding on to the mother you had, which is not who she is now. And so you can't really love the mother she is now until you grieve the mother you had.
Wow, that's good.
It was so good. And it was,
I'm like, yes, I'm glad you told me I said all this.
well, it was life-changing for me to be able to be okay with the fact that, okay. And honestly, the anger stopped because I realized it was me hurting and missing the relationship I had with the old relationship I had with my mother. And I really did have to grieve that and allow it to be what it is.
So you had to sit in the misery to work that out.
Yeah. And I tell people all the time, especially when it comes to grief, you have to give grief. And even I'm just going to one up that. I'm going to say negative emotions. So we consider grief and sadness and frustration and anger and things that don't necessarily feel good as negative emotions. And we don't want to sit in them when we want to hurry up or we want to pretend they're not there. And I tell, people that I talk to all the time, you have to give it space to be what it is. It doesn't have to move in. You don't have to unpack its bags and welcome it to stay for the week, but you have to give it space, recognize that that's what you're feeling and that that's a valid emotion, why you're feeling that, and allow it to do its job. Because a lot of times those negative feelings are what are precursors to growth, or precursors to healing, or precursors to having hard conversations to create something new. I mean, they're there to tell you, hey, you need to address something or do something or heal from something. So you need to give them space to have a voice in your life, as well as the joy and the fun and all of the ones we do like.
100%. And a little secret, a little tip for someone out there who's going through something, and I've just happened to have gone through a whole lot of things at a young age, and that's, you brought up the age thing, but I have a lot of experience. Even though my number is different than somebody else out there, I have a lot of experience, some good, some not so good. But a little secret, a little tip is, this word called resistance. Most of what you're feeling is resistance to not feeling good. We don't like it. We want to feel happy. We want to feel joyful. We want to feel all the feels, and that's great. But my top tip to get you through that is to stop resisting it. Like Dorothy just
exactly.
like feel it, sit in it, do what you got to do. You're not going to build a house there. Just do what you got to do, and then you're able to move forward. And sometimes, y'all, just by sheer acknowledgement of that, sheer acknowledgement of the resistance, and sheer acknowledgement of the sadness or the anger or whatever, it can improve 70% or more just by you being honest with yourself, because it builds self-trust.
Right.
It lets yourself know that, hey, I'm going to honor what you're feeling, and we're going to move through this, and we're going to go forward.
Okay. That's so good. But let's shift into motherhood.